Good morning, natural gas. It's Thursday, January 28th, 2026. And now I'm Tim Beggins, president of L Trading Company. And this is the new spot contract March. Natural gas is currently trading at 384.670, up 11.5 cents or 3.08%. It's bouncing around a little bit today. We're still well above the 13 and 48 period exponential moving averages, which come in around 340 to 347. So the RSI is trying to turn up on the day, and we'll see if this thing can actually break out of its range. As you'll see on the hourly chart, it seems to be in a very tight range now for the last few sessions. So let's turn to that hourly chart. And as you can see, once we broke out the gap up on the 25th, we've been in a fairly tight range here in these pivots between the pivot support and pivot resistance. And currently, today's pivot comes in at 373.60. So let's see if we can actually break out to the upside here. We really need to get above 392.5 on a sustained basis. Closing basis would be helpful here. The RSI is choppy, going sideways along with this price action since the 25th. Our first support comes in 357.20 and well above on resistance 389.5. It's kind of a wide range, but as you can see here, we're kind of just sliding across here left to right, just in a fairly decent range, about 30-cent range. So we got to get some catalyst to move this out of this particular range. How about the front to back spreads? This is the injection spread. This is Jan 27 versus April 26. And the RSI has not been able to cross to the upside, which means that the strength in the prompt is pushing this spread in. So as you can see right now, we're in about 3.4 cents here to 149.10, down 2.23% on the day. So let's take a look at the April through October strip. And because of the strength up front here with March and this continuing weather in the Northeast and the upper Midwest, we're currently up on the strip, up 4 cents to 3.907, up over 1.1% on the day. So the RSI is still positive and moving higher. We'll look to see if we can push out to the upside if weather continues. That recent high comes in at 4.307. Let's turn to the weather. This is the United States wind chill map. And as you can see, we've got that next big cold front coming down on the 31st, just a few days from now. And it gets all the way down into Texas and almost all the way down into Florida. In fact, it's going to be so cold that some of the water parks at Disney World are going to be shut. And as you can see here, we've got some tremendous wind chill factors. Look at Pennsylvania, Western Pennsylvania, minus 33. That's colder than the Dakotas. That's crazy. So the weather does abate a little bit here as we move further and further into the forecast, still keeping it fairly cold across the Great Lakes and, of course, Mid-Atlantic and New England states as we get further and further into February. And it does look like, though, we get another shot of cold air starting to build around the 12th. And as you can see here, it pushes down into the 13th of February. And this is coming in on the west side of things. So as we get later and later in the forecast, it looks like there's going to be yet another major Arctic intrusion toward the center part of the country. So what else is going on? Well, this is the temperature outlook from the CPC, Climate Prediction Center, and this is a part of NOAA. And as you can see here, still below normal temperatures on the eastern third of the U.S. How about storage? This is Celsius Energy's end of season storage for the United States. Pushed it back down another 31 BCF to 1.47 TCF at the end of the withdrawal season. So this is a fairly modest pullback, but it still tells us we've got to get at least 2.5 TCF potentially in the ground through April through October. And what about Europe? Well, it's cold again. The forecast pulled back some of the brutal cold air, but then look at the end here toward February the 12th. It's cold in Spain, France, obviously Germany, Poland, and of course the Isles. So this is going to keep things fairly cold for a while. And unfortunately, storage. This is as of the 27th for the European Union. It is 43.5% full. And France down to 33.7% full. So this means we've still got a lot of winter ahead of us, and they have very little in storage. So let's turn to Asia. We do have some modest temperatures here, but look around the February 6th now. This is the cold Arctic intrusion into Beijing, capital city area, the Koreas, and parts of Japan later on. But overall, it looks fairly modest. How about the United States snow cover? Well, we still have snow cover from Texas all the way back into New England, of course, all the way up into the Great Lakes. And the Great Lakes, well, ice cover 33%. Why is the ice going lower when the temperatures are still quite cold? Well, turbulence. It doesn't help with ice formation. We also need moisture. So when it's cool, dry, and very windy, it can't form too much ice. And let's look at the U.S. nuclear fleet. It is currently at 2.2 gigawatts out. This is fantastic performance. We desperately needed it this winter. We'll still need it as we continue through February and into March. There have been notations that power plants in the Northeast, in the PJM area, they're losing 18 to 20 gigawatts of power load. What happens? Well, we've been running these units too hard. So spring maintenance is going to be severe. So let's turn to the oil and gas E&P sector. Stocks between $2 and $10 billion and have a high short float, over 10%. And as you can see, well, these stocks just haven't been really doing fairly well. CRK is down 6% for the week. And as you can see, BKV is the winner here, as well as Magnolia, up around 7 and 9%. Northern Oil and Gas is also up there. So mixed bag here on the stocks, unfortunately, for the oil and gas sector, despite the strong prices and the strong February expiration. So now, with March being the spot, we are currently trading at 385.20, up 12 cents or 3.22%. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Thanks for listening. We'll see you soon.